What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Emphasis on Sports. You know what it is. I'm your host, Damon Anthony. We're about to kick it, just talk about sports. Look, do me a favor. Like and subscribe if you're new. Join us on all streaming platforms. We're available a little everywhere. Apple, Amazon, Spotify, iHeart. Just check us out, man. All I usually do, kick it about sports. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter to me. I don't care about people's lives, people's personal lives. Between the lines, you dig? Between the lines. That being said, I also know my last post had some technical difficulties on TikTok. Get those fixed, get some more information out to y'all. Y'all just go ahead, check it out. Stay with me, rock with me. All right, let's talk about sports. First things first, congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the second inaugural in-game tournament for the NBA. Still not really a huge fan of it. I mean, do we really need to do something to get players active and really wanting to play during the season? Isn't it the season? But I do like the floors. I really wish they would keep those floors just all year. A lot of those floors, they highlight things about the city, about the area. I think that's actually kind of cool that every floor doesn't look the same. I doubt that they'll do that, but I think it would be a really good look all in all for the NBA. But shout out to the Bucks, knocked off the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Bucks are looking like they're starting to actually come together a little bit. They look like Dame and Giannis are starting to figure each other out, and Dame's figuring out the best time to push the button and the best time to fall back. That's going to be nothing but a problem for the rest of the East if they really can figure that out. So let's just see how the season goes. One of the big topics in the NBA has been that they've changed the All-Star game. They're now doing some weird 3 teams plus the Rising Star team. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to watch it. I haven't watched the All-Star game, NBA All-Star game for years, maybe over 10 years, and I'm not about to start now. For anybody that's wondering, the questions have been out there. Is the ratings declining? What's wrong with the league? I'll tell you straight up, players don't care until after the All-Star break. And as a viewer, you see it. You absolutely see it. And I just would rather not. I know that they give these players some kind of money for playing in the All-Star game. But if you want to make the All-Star game better, instead of trying to continue to change the format, if the winning team gets, throw a number out there, 50 grand a piece, give the losing team $5. Do that. Or do like Major League Baseball did in years past. Whoever wins the All-Star game, their conference has the home court advantage. That might drive a little something because you have a lot of those players on teams that are potential NBA Finals appearances. How about you change it like that? All of this pick a team and all this is, you do whatever you want, but if players don't really care, or if they're only going to care the last 5 minutes of the game, I'm sorry, that's not the brand of basketball I like to watch. I like to see competition. If not, I can just, I don't know, I can watch anything. That to me was really dragging down the NBA all in all. I mean, from players, sitting these second game of back to back, to we're complaining about there's too many games, to all of this stuff. Like, look, listen, you had players that came before you that played. Some of them had very long careers. Some of them played upwards of 75 games a year. So can y'all. So can y'all. I'm not going to highlight anything like a lot of people would. I'm just going to say, man, like, can we just roll the ball out there and hoop and play hard games? If you want people to start watching the NBA all the time again, I think that's the way to go. I absolutely think that's the way to go. All right, moving right along. Let's talk college football. So we know that the college football playoff bracket came out. We have a couple games this weekend, first round of games. We're going to have one game on Friday. That's going to be Notre Dame and Indiana. That, out of all of these first games, that's the game I'm really the most interested in seeing. I'm just seeing Indiana in that space. And then against Notre Dame, that's very much an in-state, let's see who's the biggest, baddest on the block game. Love those to death. Indiana's playing Notre Dame on Friday, 8 o'clock. Current line is Notre Dame -7. I'm going to go ahead and why wouldn't I? Let's go Indiana Hoosiers. I don't know who's going to win the game. I'm hoping Indiana wins the game, but I really like that cover, especially 7.5. Indiana has put up some numbers this year. So that 7.5 is going to be kind of iffy. All right. So then Saturday, which is going to be real interesting because everybody out there knows NFL don't have no friends. NFL don't give a fuck about nobody. So the NFL actually has 2 games on Saturday, and we'll talk about those. But while those games are going, you got 3 college football playoff games. Ain't it a thing? First of those games is going to be SMU at Penn State. Current line on that one, Penn State minus 8.5. Give me SMU on that one. I just think they're going to keep it a little closer. I think Penn State's going to win the game. I just think it's going to be a closer game than that 8.5. SMU has shown a propensity to put points on the board. They have. Now I get it. They're going into Happy Valley. It's a much different thing, but I still like SMU to cover. Maybe they only lose by a touchdown. Then we're going to have at 4 o'clock, Clemson and Texas. This one, Texas minus 11. This is a real tough one to call because Clemson's been kind of real rocky and you just really don't know what's going to go on with them. But give me Texas. Give me Texas to cover this 11. I know, there's a lot of things going on in Texas. They're going to want to put up points. They're going to want to keep going. They're at home. You're going to see a lot of them hook 'em horns, all of that BS. Texas to cover that 11. Last game on Saturday is going to be Tennessee at Ohio State. This one's going to be a doozy, I'll tell you that. Current line is Ohio State minus 7. Give me Tennessee. I like Ohio State to win this one, but I like Tennessee to cover and play a really good game. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. Now, looking at these games also, winner of Clemson and Texas, they're going to play Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. The winner of Tennessee and Ohio State is going to play Oregon in the Rose Bowl. That's going to be a doozy. I'm going to be in LA. I really want to go to that one. If some things fall right, the SMU Penn State game, winner of that has Boise State. That one's going to be, I'm going to have eyes on that one. I remember Boise State in BCS bowl game against Oklahoma with the Statue of Liberty, whatever you want to call it, but it was ridiculous to watch. So I'm always going to have a small special spot in my heart for Boise State. Now, the winner of that Indiana-Notre Dame game, it don't get any easier. They got Georgia in the Sugar Bowl in SEC land. Whew, that's going to be tough. So look, Friday, Saturday, we're going to check these games out. We're going to see what happens. I think they're going to be really good games. I'm really loving that they have this college football playoff because at the end of it all, after that national championship final game on January 20th, I don't want to hear nobody say, well, my team coulda, my team shoulda, my team woulda. Nah, that's why there's 12 of them things. If you make it through that and win it all, hats off to you. Hats off to you. You did your thing. All right, so really looking forward to that. All right, let's move to the NFL. Week 15 wrapped up night before last. Let's talk about it. Let us talk about it. Now, last pod, I did talk a little bit about the Rams-San Francisco game, 12-6, just a disgusting game. That's all I'm talking about there. Both of them teams. Rams have a chance. Niners properly cooked. Stick a fork. Maybe stick 2, 3 forks because they are cooked. All right, let's move on to the Sunday game. Now, we saw Kansas City knock off Cleveland 21-7. The biggest thing from this game, Patrick Mahomes seemed to tweak his ankle. Currently, he's had back-to-back days of full practice, so I don't think that's really going to hurt him too much. But I tell you what, if they win this week, he may have to sit for these last couple games because there may be enough space in between them and Buffalo. Rest your guys. Rest your guys. Get everybody 100% healthy, 100% ready to go. On the Cleveland side of things, we saw the benching of Jameis Winston. Now, I've said all season to my Cleveland people, you get 2 sides of Jameis Winston. He may throw you 30 ridiculous touchdowns. He might throw you 30 ridiculous picks, too. That's kind of what we saw. So we kind of got what I think what the people outside of Cleveland knew was going to happen with Jameis. Then you had Cincinnati knock off Tennessee 37-27. Nothing too heavy from this one. Both of these teams are on the outside looking in. I know Cincinnati has a mathematical chance, but let's be real. Let's just be honest about that. Joe Burrow continues to go out there and shine, looking more and more like Dan Marino to me. Say what you want. That's Joey Marino. All right. Then we had the Washington Commanders knock off the New Orleans Saints 20-19. This one had some significance because it keeps Washington in the playoffs. If they continue to win, they'll be in the playoffs, which will be huge for Jaden Daniels in his first year. Right now, I think the overall consensus on offensive rookie of the year is between three players: Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Brock Bowers. Daniels, Nix, they may be leading their teams to the playoffs when that's not something that we thought was going to happen last year. So big kudos to Washington, kudos to Jaden. Then we had Baltimore take care of business. New York Giants knock them down 35-14. This one, I took Baltimore given the 16.5. I would have taken them given 20, to be honest with you. The Giants, terrible. Meanwhile, Baltimore, you go in, you play a terrible team. They did what they're supposed to do, exactly what they're supposed to do. Next game was a little bit of a surprise to me. Dallas winning to Carolina, won that one 30-14. I actually thought that one may have been a little bit different. Carolina had been playing pretty decent ball, and Dallas to me just isn't a good team, not this year at least. But Dallas went in, they handled their business. Crap team versus crap team. I get it. Then we had the New York Jets versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jets took that one down 32-25. Once again, two sad teams, nothing impressive. Either way, Devontae Adams went off, but whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. All right. Then we had Houston take care of business against Miami, 20-12. I think this one pretty much just slams a door on the Miami Dolphins' chances in the playoffs. I think it's a wrap on them. Thought that anyway. But Houston, they're doing what they need to do. You want to win these last couple games going into the playoffs. They're getting some guys back healthy. I know Joe Mixon got banged up a little bit, but get as much as you can healthy, and you can take care of business. Then we had Indy at Denver. Denver took down the Colts 31-13, continuing the run that they're on. They definitely look like they belong in the playoffs. And they're just playing really good ball. And one of the big things from this one is Jonathan Taylor dropping that ball before you cross that goal line. Listen, all football players. Obviously, I'm not an NFL. I'm not a retired NFL player. I don't have all of that in my bag. But when you're running that ball and you're almost to the goal line, put two hands on it, cross the goal line, hand it to the ref, and then celebrate. That way you know for sure you didn't drop the ball. Listen what I said. Hand it to the ref and then celebrate. I'm not saying don't celebrate. Celebrate. I love it. I love the fact that it's not the no fun league anymore. And we're actually seeing some cool celebrations. I love that. But you can't celebrate what you don't score. You cannot celebrate what you don't score. Now, one of the biggest games of the day, and this one was absolute score fest. Buffalo went into Detroit, took them down 48-42. This game involved a very questionable play call from Dan Campbell in the fourth quarter, only down 10 early in the fourth quarter, kicking an onside kick. Not only was this a weird call, but Buffalo recovered and took the ball down near the 10-yard line. So you just gave them a touchdown and you lost by 6. You got to do better than that. Now, one of the bad things that came from this game, another injury to the Lions. David Montgomery is out for the season. That's a tough, very tough pill to swallow. I've been calling Detroit the best team in the NFL all season damn near. Right now, they're not the best team in the NFC, especially with all of the injuries. I'm going to have to give that one to Philly. I still like Buffalo as the best team in the AFC, even though Kansas City, I know what that record is. Chiefs Kingdom, don't kill me. I know what that record is. But Buffalo, they're showing me they're a damn good team. They're just a damn good team. We know what Josh Allen is. Buffalo has done more this year, in my eyes, than they have in the last couple of years because they've had to piece some of the things together. You get rid of your wide receiver room, get rid of a lot of defensive players, you get rid of captains. You come back and you're having this kind of year. And when you go into these games playing against these teams on fast tracks, they're putting up numbers. I get it. They lost to the Rams, still put up 42. This week put up 48. Crazy numbers. Crazy. So another big game I was looking forward to was the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles. This one, Also, just a solid game. Just a solid game. Philly knocked them off 27-13. Little known fact, Pittsburgh hasn't won in Philly since before I was born. So nothing new under the sun there. I still think Pittsburgh's one of the better teams in the league. But Philly, to me, is looking like that team that's poised in the NFC. If Detroit was healthier, I'd still be rocking Detroit. But those injuries, you have to call it like you see it. Philly, they're looking good. They are looking good. Then we had the Arizona Cardinals knock off the New England Patriots 30-17. To be honest, no one cared about that game. Arizona had been a little bit on a skid. They're not looking, playoff bound, or at least not as much as they were maybe a month and a half ago. In New England, they're just building. They're building. I think Drake May has solidified himself as their quarterback of the future. But these are two teams that see you next year. All right. Then we had the Tampa Bay Bucks go into Los Angeles and smack around the Chargers 40-17. This one, Baker Mayfield continues to shine, continues to show he's found a legit home. Now, Mike Evans had a great game, and he still has a chance to crack that 1,000-yard mark for the umpteenth year straight. I really hope he does it. Great baller. Love watching the dude play. Now, on the Charger side, they just couldn't get it done. Now, they have their opportunity to get into the playoffs, but if you can't get it done towards the end of the season, you'll be sitting at home with me watching these games. Last game on Sunday was Green Bay at Seattle. Green Bay came in and they put them things to them, 30-13. Looked like we had a pretty decent injury to Geno Smith. And Sam Howell came in, didn't look good at all. Meanwhile, Green Bay, they're chugging right along. I mean, that NFC North minus the Bears continues to look like a strong conference, very strong conference. Let's see how things shake out with Green Bay, but I really think these NFC playoffs are just going to be full of great games all the way across the board. Let's move to Monday, y'all. So Monday night, Minnesota went ahead and took down the Chicago Bears 30-12. This one, man, you say what you want. I've said a lot this year. Minnesota's a real deal. Can't run from it. Can't hide it. Can't BS it. Minnesota's cold. Really good team. Meanwhile, the Bears are really not. We know that they need a new coach. I personally think you wash your whole front office. Start over from there. You got to do something to help Caleb Williams, because you're talking about looking defeated. That dude looks hurt. Just absolutely hurt. Got to do something with him, at least for the Bears, for their future. But Minnesota, they're hanging in there. They're tough. They may be able to overtake Detroit to win that division. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. Last game of the week was the Atlanta Falcons going into Vegas and winning 15-9. Dog of a game all the way around. Not much to say here at all. Neither one of these teams look really good. I know Atlanta won, but hey, Kirk Cousins, go ahead, sit on that bench. Kirk Cousins has been benched in place of Michael Penix Jr. Fair. That's totally fair. If Atlanta isn't playing for anything and they're not looking like they're going to be decent at all, go ahead and get the young man in there. Let's see what he has. Let's start to build him, right? That's what you want to do. Start to build these players. Let's just see what happens, because Atlanta needs some help. All right, so I shared a little bit of my life with you over some of these podcasts. 1 week from this Saturday, I'm getting married. So the podcast game for me is going to be shaky. It's going to move around a little bit, to be completely honest with you. So I'm going to have to pack some things in where I can. So let's talk week 16. These are huge games, big implications all around. And somewhere in here, y'all, is my Nobody Cares game of the week. I'm scrolling. I'm looking at this thing right now. Got it. All right. Let's start with Thursday night's game. Thursday night, we have an AFC West showdown. Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Broncos looking good. Chargers coming off a loss. Both of these teams could potentially be playoff bound. So this is a huge game. Current line on this is the Chargers -3. Give me the Broncos. The Broncos have just looked like a better team all the way around. Give me the Broncos. Move on to Saturday. We got two games on Saturday. First game is going to be Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. Huge game. Huge game. Let's see if let's see if Mahomes is healthy. Let's see if he can actually roll. Houston, this is when you show up. This is when we get to see what you actually can do. These are warm-ups for the playoffs. All right. Current line on this one is Kansas City -3.5. Give me Houston. I don't know if Houston's going to win or not, but that 3.5, that half a point, I like Houston right here. Second game on Saturday. This one's going to be a doozy. I can't wait to get home, kick my feet up, maybe start the fire, crack a brew, then I got to have it. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. This one's going to be one hell of a game. Current line on this one is Baltimore -6.5. Give me Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's coming off a loss. They're playing in division against a very big defense or division rival. I like Pittsburgh to cover this 6.5. Win, not win, I just like them to cover. Heart of hearts, I think Pittsburgh's going to go in there and get the dub. I think Pittsburgh's an overall better team, but we shall see. Give me Pittsburgh. Looking at Sunday's games. All right, this first game was almost my nobody cares game of the week. But since we had a quarterback change, there's going to be more eyes and some people are going to care. New York Giants at the Atlanta Falcons. Current line on this one, Falcons -8.5. Looks like we're going to have Drew Lock versus Michael Penix Jr. Ugly game. Give me Atlanta. They're going to be home. Michael Penix is starting. They're going to be hyped. The place is going to be absolutely rocking. And the Giants are terrible. Giants, Falcons, Atlanta -8.5. Give me the Falcons all day. Then we're going to have Detroit at Chicago. Current line on this one is Detroit -6.5. Even despite the loss to David Montgomery, give me Detroit. They're not good. They're sad. They're not a good team whatsoever. Give me Detroit. Detroit, they're going to have to rebound off of this loss that they just had. I think they are going to rebound. I think they're going to come out and beat the shit out of the Bears. I really, truly do. I think this is when we're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs just go ham over these next couple weeks. That's what I'm expecting at the very least. Then we're going to have another AFC North battle. This one is always a big battle, no matter what. Usually these two teams suck, but it's always a good game. Got the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. Current line on this one, Cincy -7.5. Give me the Bengals. Cincy's been putting up numbers the last couple weeks. Meanwhile, Browns, not good. Just not good. I'm not even going to go into it. Just not good. All right. Give me Cincy -7.5. Then we got an AFC South matchup. Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. Current line on that one is Indy -3.5. Tuffy. Give me the Titans. This week, Mr. Will Levis is going to have to ride the pine. Mason Rudolph is starting. Mason can play. He can play. He's going to get the ball where it needs to be. Give me the Titans. Then we're going to have the Rams at the New York Jets. Current line on this one is Rams -3. Give me the Rams. Jets, just like the Giants, stink. Absolutely stink. I know there's been all sorts of weird things in the media with Rodgers and all that. Once again, we talk about sports. I can care less about the weird stuff with Aaron Rodgers. But when we're talking about on the field, the Jets haven't looked like a good team all year. Meanwhile, the Rams are fighting for their playoff lives. If the Rams just win out, they're in. And they've been playing really good recently. I know last week was a little more of a defensive game against the Niners and a real ugly game. But I like the Rams here to cover that 3. I like the Rams to win this one by double digits. Absolutely. Then we got a banger in the NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Commanders. Current line on this one, Philly -3.5. Give me Washington. I think Philly wins this game. That half point is what speaks to me. Washington's still playing for their playoff lives as well. I like Washington to cover that 3.5, if not win. Like I said, Philly probably will win the game. I just don't think that they win by more than the field goal. Then we're going to have a pitiful, ugly dog of a game that it's still not my nobody cares game of the week. Arizona Cardinals at the Carolina Panthers. Current line on this one, Arizona -5. Give me Arizona. Give me Arizona. Carolina, as you know, they have been playing a lot better. They have been looking like they're growing as a team. But Arizona, they're also a team that they need help, but they're playing for their playoff lives too. So give me Arizona there. Moving to the 4:00 games, there is at least one doozy here, one doozy that makes this a fun little session to watch. We got the Minnesota Vikings at the Seattle Seahawks. Current line on this is Minnesota -3. Give me Minnesota. Seattle, they do not look like a good team at all currently. They look a little bit sad. And then, let's see the health of Geno. Let's see the health of their guys. Meanwhile, Minnesota looks for real. You can say what you want to say, but to be this deep into the season, got 2 losses, they're playing good ball. They're playing real good ball. They got a lot of people calling for Sam Darnold to be traded somewhere, or go play for this team or this, that, and the other. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But they're playing really good ball, and you cannot run from it. You can't hide from it at all. So give me Minnesota minus that 3. Then we're going to have New England at Buffalo. Current line on this one is Buffalo -14. Toughie, but give me Buffalo. Weather permitting, you want to think that this is going to be a little closer for a game, a little less scoring. Maybe. Definitely maybe. But New England's not a very good team. They're still growing. Meanwhile, Buffalo is Buffalo. Give me Buffalo minus that 14. This next game. This is my nobody cares game of the week. Week. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Las Vegas Raiders. Current line on this one, Vegas minus 1.5. I would like to push. If I could bet a push, I would. Because this is an absolute dog of a game. A dog of a game. That being said, Max Crosby, he's out. Give me Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's just going to win this one. Walk-off field goal. No one's really going to care. Half the people at the stadium definitely won't care. But yeah, this one, ugly game. Then we're going to have San Francisco at Miami. My guys, current line on this one is Miami minus 1.5. Listen, I like Miami in this game. I do. San Fran, they just haven't been getting it done. Offense hasn't looked well. Nobody's really looked like they're playing great ball except for maybe George Kittle. I know we got some guys back on defense, but the team's just not very good. I think it's time, really, especially after this week, let's sit some guys. Let's sit a bunch of guys. Let's make sure we get all of our people that are under contract to have those little tweaks. Fred Warner, even Dre Greenlaw. Let's go ahead and have a seat. Let's get you back all the way healthy. Let's not do anything that can risk you getting more injured. Now, on the Miami side, we know Miami's offense has looked a little better since Tua has played, but you take a slug at this point, you're through. This is going to be Mike McDaniel up against, his old coach, Shanny. Let's see what happens there. But I like Miami to cover this 1.5 and to win. San Francisco looks sad. I like Miami to go ahead and take this one down. Then, Sunday night game. Tampa at Dallas. Current line on this one, Tampa -4. Give me Tampa. Let me tell you how sad the Dallas Cowboys are. Let me tell you this. All right. So this game is in Dallas. Sunday night. Against a team that won their division last year. Tickets are starting as low as $20. That tells you that Dallas Cowboys, not only are they out of it, but they're not good at all. Meanwhile, Tampa just has to keep chugging along. They'll wrap up their division. Let's move on to the playoffs. Give me Tampa minus this 4. Monday night's game. New Orleans Saints at the Green Bay Packers. Current line on this one, Green Bay minus 14.5. Give me Green Bay. They're outside. They're in Green Bay. New Orleans does not look like a good team. I know Desmond Ritter's going to have to start. They're going to beat up on him. Definitely. Or Spencer Rattler's going to start. Whoever it is going to lose. That's all there is to it. And lose by a lot. Give me the Packers. All right. So we're going to wrap up this week. I will see you back this weekend, hopefully. Brothers get married. Pray for me, y'all. All right. Until next time, be good or be good at it. I will holler.